Welcome to Skiiyoop TV. I'm your host, Don Livin. And today, I have three lovely guests, Pablo Sosa, Dinola, and Stephanie Nedweckas. May you all just tell the people something about you. Cool.
You can start.
Thanks. I go to Endicott. I'm a sophomore. I'm majoring in psychology.
All right.
I graduated from Endicott in May with finance, business administration, concentration in finance.
I'm a business major, senior, former classmate of yours. Most important part, so.
Fair. All right. In today's show, we will be talking about legalization of marijuana in the U.S.
Oh.
As you see why I'm wearing a marijuana necklace. However, I do not smoke. I'm just in support of legalizing it, you know? That's all. Just throwing that out there for everyone to know. All right. So, I have a list of why people should be against marijuana. And we will go through this list today, and I want to hear you all's thoughts, beliefs about this list. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
All right.
Good to know.
So first, people say that marijuana is a gateway drug. How do you all feel about that?
It's not.
Okay.
It's just not. A gateway drug, it's by definition is something that makes people want to try other things of a nefarious nature. I know tons of potheads, and not one of them do heroin, and
Okay.
not one of them do cocaine, meth. They just smoke weed. You know, it's not a gateway drug.
I think that maybe if you've smoked, you might be more likely to try something else because you know, like, what it's like to have your body altered in some way, even if it's not going to be the same feeling. But I wouldn't say that it shouldn't be, like, allowed because it's a gateway drug because, like you said, so many people, like, can just smoke weed.
Okay.
I agree with them. I don't think it's really a gateway drug. I mean, the only thing else that people try is probably food after they smoke. That's about it. But
A lot of
I don't know,
food.
like you said, people just smoke it pretty much.
Okay. People say that when you're under the influence of marijuana and when you decide to drive, it could be a very dangerous situation. How do you all feel about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be dangerous.
Okay.
So can drinking and driving.
Anything could be dangerous.
Anything can be dangerous when you're behind the wheel of a car.
Texting and driving is probably worse.
Very true. I never thought about that. Good point there. Really good point. Pablo?
I agree with them, yeah. Anything's dangerous. If
Okay.
you're not paying attention,
Yeah, it's all
you're
about
putting your life in danger.
Yeah, you could easily make the law that you can't be, like, high while you're driving. Like, you can't be drunk while you're driving.
Okay.
It's all about control, self-control,
Yeah.
personal control. It's about knowing the right decision, and if you think that you shouldn't be driving, it's just like alcohol. If you think that you shouldn't be driving, then you don't drive.
All right.
Plain and simple.
Next statement they said is children will then start to smoke at a young age or a younger age.
I disagree. If you look at examples in Portugal,
Okay.
Portugal has decriminalized every drug across the board.
Okay.
Every drug.
Yes.
You can go walk through the streets and see people doing crack, heroin, shooting up, and smoking weed. And there have been studies shown that the youth in Portugal are actually less likely to smoke marijuana and do drugs because they're sort of thrust into an environment where it's prevalent, where it's everywhere. And they see people sitting on the side of the road shooting up and don't want that. They don't want that to be their life, and so they don't go down that path. It makes it more available, yes, and it makes it more available for younger people to do it at a younger age, but it also puts it in the hands of parents. Just the same thing with alcohol. If you put education into it and you let them learn about it, it makes it less likely for them to abuse it.
You know your facts, man. You know your facts about marijuana.
Well, I don't know. I think that I don't think people will start doing it younger if they don't want to. And I think that there should be education out there, like saying like discussing it, you know, and for like kids, like in health class I learned about drugs and everything and how they were bad and whatnot, and like at a young age I never felt the need to like smoke. I didn't want to. I think it's all like personal.
I would just say pretty much like based on where you grew up, like the kids you're around and stuff, like if you're around like kids who like do it or something, like you could like feel peer pressure into doing it. So like I guess like people look at it like, oh, if like this person's doing it, then that must be like cool. So like I don't know, I guess like the younger kids look at like older kids and be like, oh, well, if they're smoking, I don't see what's the like like what's bad about it. So I mean, I guess it's like it's not like I agree or disagree, but I don't know. It's just like pretty much my statement. Like,
All right.
depends
Cool.
on who you are.
By the way, nice tie.
Thank you, sir.
Really, really nice tie. Side note.
Thank you.
But all right, back to the the original script. Crimes and drugs relate. Crimes, drugs, and guns relate. People are concerned about weed because it's technically still a crime. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that, I mean, they're like I don't know. I think prescription drugs or drugs that are legal or alcohol or like could have the same like effect.
Okay.
A lot of the crime from marijuana would be eliminated because it would no longer be a crime. It would save tax dollars, millions a year. Colorado being the first state, Colorado and Washington being the first states to legalize it, are going to save in the tens of millions of dollars every year by not incarcerating people for marijuana charges. And that takes the criminal aspect away from it and makes it less of a taboo. And so it's becoming researched. It's becoming a legitimate business. And I mean, you don't see like Hershey's drug cartels with candy, or you know, cigarette drug cartels with cigarettes. Like you don't see in legitimate businesses the crime being incorporated into it. It's more research and legitimized.
Okay.
Kind of what she said. I mean, like crime happens like every day, just by itself. Like doesn't really have to be related to anything. I mean, yeah, like sometimes it's like alcohol related or any kind of drug, but I don't know, crime just happens in itself. Like you don't really need anything. It's pretty much like a certain mind state, I think.
To piggyback on what you said, I looked up, and New York Times noted that California makes $14 billion a year just from weed, just from this weed. So, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like
$14 billion.
Yeah, I think it would be very beneficial to legalize it for like, I mean, then they can tax it and they can make sure that there's nothing else like you know, like that it's just weed, you know, like what they can like do, like you can know what types of weed you're getting and what it's going to do for you and everything. And like, yeah, they can tax it so they can make money on it, and it'll like bring the crime, like incarcerations down for getting arrested for possession of marijuana.
So would you like to see all 50 states?
Absolutely.
All right, fair. Okay, fair. So
They're gonna do
weed
one
is legal
state,
in
might
all
as well
50
do all
states.
of them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's probably right now. It's looking like it's Colorado and Washington are sort of like a little experiment.
Yeah.
Not on a federal level, because I mean the federal government still bans marijuana as a substance, so it's really at a state level. But the president put out a memo saying that it would be taken care of on a state level, just because they don't want to expend any resources going after those kind of individuals.
Yeah.
But if it goes on a national level, I mean, our generation is one that smokes weed. I mean, it's the timeline of marijuana is so funny, because back, like, it was like prohibition. It was so criminalized, and then really pretty quickly it became decriminalized medical, and now recreational use. So it's going to be a domino effect. In the 50 states, everyone's going to give into it eventually by the time our generation gets to the presidency, and really the tax revenues gained from it, minus the revenues that we'll gain by not incarcerating people, are just, it's going to be substantial. It's going to really
Okay,
do a lot for the
out of
economy.
curiosity, how long do you think it will take until Massachusetts will be cleared for that residents could smoke medicinal or recreational marijuana?
I think
fairly soon.
within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years?
Within the next 10
You don't
years.
think
I'd
sooner
say
than that?
5.
5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 5 probably.
I think with
3 to 5.
the medicinal right now, they still have to build dispensaries,
Yeah.
and they still have to make sure that that's something that's, you know, can be regulated within the state. I think 5-10 years.
Okay, all right. Well, 10 years, hurry up. Not that I smoke, of course. Just for everyone else.
Of course.
Of course. They say that smoking marijuana can cause physical harm to the human body, particularly in your lungs.
I mean, so does smoking cigarettes. That's just as bad, and everyone does that. That's legal.
So does walking around in New Jersey. I mean, the air quality is terrible.
Anything can cause harm to your body,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Okay. All right. Fair.
And I think it has a lot of benefits too, to your health. Like it helps cancer patients. It helps slow down the process of like the cancer cells.
Okay.
Yeah, it affects your brain uniquely too, because most substances affect your medulla oblongata, which controls your heart rate and your breathing. Weed doesn't. That's why people don't die from weed in their sleep. If you smoke too much weed, and you may think you're gonna die, but you're not going to.
You just sleep it off.
You just sleep it off. Medulla
Yeah.
oblongata.
So when you said that, I thought of Waterboy.
Yeah.
Like great movie.
That was a great movie.
Great movie.
Classic.
It was. Okay. Last statement. They say pot make you stupid. To what degree do you feel that's true?
Steve Jobs smoked pot.
All right. Well, touche. However, he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
because of
Without
pot?
kids,
Yeah,
no. He built one of the greatest companies
He did
in
though.
the world.
He did.
I think,
It hasn't been studied enough.
yeah, I think maybe you might be a little bit more forgetful or you might not remember quite as much, but I don't think it makes you like stupider.
Okay.
Alcohol makes you stupid too.
Yeah.
If you do MRIs of people's brains
It
with
does.
alcohol, it makes it spongy, creates holes. Anything that you put in your body that's not technically supposed to be there
Right.
can have an effect on your brain, but
Okay.
it's all about moderation.
I'll just say it hasn't been, like, anything hasn't been proven yet, so you can't really say, oh, yeah, weed makes you stupid. Like, I mean, I don't know.
And I don't think it would
Anything
make you
makes you
stupid
stupid.
like fast enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You might say stupid things, but that doesn't mean it makes you stupid.
Sort of. Sort of. Depends what you say.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, recreational marijuana. It has been passed in Colorado and Washington, like you said. How do you feel about that?
Might have to make a little trip to Colorado soon.
Okay, fair.
I think that as long as
I'm laughing at this
Okay.
statement.
I think as long as it's like regulated, like you can't smoke and drive, and you can't, and maybe make like an age limit, like 16, 18, you can't smoke before then, or something like that. Then it wouldn't be. Then I think it's fine.
Well, I did look up. They said that you had to be 21
Yeah.
Okay.
to smoke.
There's more dispensaries in Colorado than there are Starbucks.
Are they really?
There are.
How are? Did you know that they are starting to put dispensaries in Starbucks?
Are they really?
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
that is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Weed.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, just like Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah,
Day
it's.
off right.
I mean, it's sort of a little revolution out there. It's gonna spread.
Okay, all right, my next question. So, you mentioned Portugal. Do you think United States will ever go as extreme as Portugal?
Absolutely
way
not.
too extreme.
No,
That is very
never.
extreme. Okay, all right.
Never.
But however, though, it is a good aspect to look at it as seeing that little
That
kids will see fiends.
Junkies on the
yeah,
side.
on the
Yeah.
street and know that they don't want to do that.
That would never get
I think
passed.
I think what he mentioned prohibition earlier too. I think that has something to do with it. Like, if it's not as illegal or not as enticing, if it's something that is like you can have, like, okay, you can have it, and you're not going to want it as much because you know you can have it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a
Yeah.
big part of it. It's like marijuana is something like, it's like not,
That's a really good point. There.
yeah, when you're younger, you're like, oh, like that's like risky, I'll try that, you know, because you want to when you're young.
Yeah.
You want to like do things that are like,
Huh. Like just as if the excitement and anticipation of turning 21.
yeah.
And then it just kind of.
Yeah, then it's just blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hey, valid point there.
Yeah.
Last for a night. The excitement.
Did it?
It lasts until spring break in Panama City.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
About
Hey,
that.
hey, spring break there. Woo. Crazy. People don't need to know about that.
Touchy.
All right, well, any other comments about medicinal, recreational marijuana in general?
I just think the benefits haven't really been fully explored yet, and until they are, there's no real way to know what's going to happen. But it's exciting, and it's definitely a new industry. It's grassroots, no pun intended.
Okay.
Agreed.
Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on to Skiiyoop TV. I'm your host, Don Livin, And I want you all to have an amazing day and enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you.
And everyone else, thank you for tuning in the show. And for the Salem State students, thank you all for helping me out. Shout out to Mr. Sal Russo over there as well. Thank you.